Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about CTRM at Castor Maritime. I've covered them previously. I have a few shares on them as well at the $1.10, $1.20 marker, but I want to do a little bit of a deeper look at what's going on. A lot of talk about the short squeeze, and I do want to address a few things regarding this. I'm gonna have to record this video a little bit differently and do most of it on the computer so you guys can see. I won't be able to use the iPad, so it's going to be a little bit more in depth, so bear with me. It will be a little bit of a longer video as well, but there's kind of a lot of content we need to cover here, and then I'll go ahead and look at the chart as well. But I really want to touch bases on these short interest and stuff like that. People are saying it's at this crazy number, and I don't believe that it's as high as all these Reddits and subreddits are saying. It looks and appears to be lower due to shares outstanding, so we're going to get into that content here in a second. But before we do that, I need you to do one thing and one thing only. Hit that sub button down below, leave a thumbs up, and have the notifications turned on. We post videos every single day about the stocks that we love and the stocks that you guys are trading. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get started. Okay guys, so we're gonna get started, and I'm gonna use the computer, so it's a little bit different. I'm gonna have a little bit unedited as well, so bear with me. But this is kind of that thing that got everything wrapped up on the 1,400% short interest. So if you go over to marketbeat.com, they have these shares outstanding at 2,400,000. Not very much, making the market cap 2.4 million. And we know this is wrong. This is not correct at all, and people really aren't looking into this. So you need to take this probably into consideration. So if you look at this and you see we have 2.4 million worth of a market cap, and then you divide that by the short interest, which is about 35 million at this moment, that's how you come up with that number. Now we have to reiterate and go back and fact check, is this right? And I know people have been reading this article right here on Market Watch. Now, because it's on Market Watch, it doesn't necessarily mean that it is reputable, because we can actually research the guy at the very bottom, the author, which is always what I recommend doing, to seeing how reputable that person is, how much experience. If you go to their website, nothing will actually appear. It doesn't come up correctly at all. And then if you look up the LLC, it's kind of shady at best, but we're still going to look at his article, what he's saying, and kind of see what his opinion is on it. I'm not going to cover it all the way, but I want to cover some focal points. Now, the big thing that we want to cover is he talking about the 140, that 1,400%, right? And he is talking about it, right? He's saying that this is the short interest. So the fact that he's bringing this up shows me that he's not really taking a deep dive into what the overall market cap is. Because if you even go to something as simple as Yahoo Finance, you can see the market cap today, or on Friday at close, was around 508 million, and you can see the historical data on the volume traded every day is going through the roof, and the shares outstanding are just increasing rapidly over time because of some of the stuff going on with CTRM, which we're going to get into here in a sec. But going back to the article, so he's going over that. The revenues are up year over year. He's not lying. That is correct. They're going up. The earnings per share are growing. All this is factual, but this right here is not factual. The fact that we're up 1,400%, that is 100% not true. Now, CTRM, I want to reiterate, they do have some good stuff going for them. They're growing. They're showing positivity even with all the COVID stuff going on. We do know shipping and overall exporting, importing were down because of COVID. That's not a lie. That's 100% factual. The industry is set to go up. But the thought of the short squeeze isn't really there. Now, the short interest has increased pretty rapidly over time. And I'm going to get into the case of what makes the case for a overall short push and why there is this interest behind it. Because I believe there is some interest that could be bumping the stock up because it's getting so expensive to short the stock, which this is something that we've been covering with GameStop and AMC. So if we go over to iBorrowDesk, you can go in, type in your ticker, CTRM. And this has an incredible, like, the fee is incredibly high, 18% interest on just to set up a short on the stock. 20% early in the week, I believe, was down to almost 22%. So it's been going down, but we have seen the short interest rapidly increasing. This is Nasdaq, so this is going to be the most reputable thing you can actually look at. So over the past few months, 4 months to be exact, give or take 3-4 months, we've seen us go from 290,000 all the way up to 31 million. Well, we did peak at that 36 million at the time when that article was written. So that's when most of these articles were being written. That was the data release, and now we have new data coming out that shows we're at 31 million, and the average share volume kind of decreasing as well. So this is pretty important to be looking at. But as we look into other articles, and I mentioned this one in our first CTRM video because I wanted to point out the possible negatives of not getting that short squeeze, because it's really important to know that it's highly unlikely, especially to the rate people are thinking, that's going to be bigger than GameStop or anything like that, like, because there's not that much short interest on the stock, and it's important to see what's going on. So in this article, you can look at on Seeking Alpha, this is a pretty solid. They use very good reputable stuff as well. As you can look at it, they go a lot more into detail, and then they provide more resources to show the credibility behind the stock as well, and credibility behind their posts and what they're saying. They're not just dumping out facts onto you, they're providing where the facts are coming from as well. So as you scroll down, they give you a reason for why the short interest is going up, but why it's not that high percent, right? So as of 125 January 25th, we have 509 million shares overall outstanding coming down, and then supposedly from market beat there was almost 1,500% short interest. Absolutely insane. And then we kept going down and down, and it's something you should know: as the open interest and as the overall shares outstanding increase, the short interest should go down because there's more shares. So if you're doing the simple, formula correctly, it'll go down as long as the short interest is staying. Even if it stayed under 50 million and then we're sitting at 500 million shares outstanding, it's going to be far lower, under 50% short interest. It's going to be significantly lower. So the math just doesn't add up there. And then we see that there's a lot of warrants that are still set for outstanding and that could be exercised very, very soon. So the company tells us that as of January 25th, it was obligated to issue up to 199 million outstanding shares upon the exercise of outstanding warrants. So this is pretty important as well, because they have more to come and the warrants are stacking up. So the overall market cap could greatly increase in the coming days as well. So that is worth noting. But then he goes on to explain about iBorrowDesk and why the fee is going up, and it peaked at 27%, which no one in their right mind would pay 27% for a short fee on a stock. That's absolutely insane. But people were paying it because we're seeing over the past few weeks, we're seeing a massive increase. Are you following? Since the 29th of January till now, we're still seeing a massive increase. People are selling off some of their positions, taking some profits, but overall, that's worth noting. Okay, so now what I do is take a quick look at the chart and see some levels that we're seeing. So overall in the past week, we've kind of seen some flatlining of this movement of the actual price action, getting a little push up to like 115 range, but kind of trending at this dollar range. Now, some analysts are saying because we push below $1, there's a chance we're going to be breaking back down to those December lows, which would be about 20-25 cents. Now, is that a possibility? It is, but I don't really see that happening with this stock, especially with the uptake and what's happening with these shipping companies especially. So let's say that by a chance they make another acquisition to keep growing their fleet for their overall dry bulk shipping brand, right? If this happens, I project the stock to get another leg up. And overall, what we're seeing is kind of what we've been trading heavily in the market as of lately. So let's take a really quick look at the OBV at the bottom, because this is really gonna, that we're getting this downward pressure, but then moving sideways and kind of flatlining, right? So not only are we not really pushing down heavily, but we're actually getting that flatline consolidation, which we know and love on the channel, and it typically leads to more break side to the upside. Now, I mentioned that the short interest is not 1,400%. That's totally false, but the short interest is there because you see the number in the percentage going up as far as the total shares. Now, the shares increased from 200,000 to over 35 million short interest on the stock. So that's pretty important. That is still a pretty big jump. And a lot of these warrants are being exercised, increasing the overall outstanding shares. So that's worth noting as well. And they probably will have more offerings to increase the overall shares outstanding. So those are all things to take into account. So as the shares outstanding increase, the short interest will decrease if it stays at that gradual 40 million range, if that makes sense. So as shares increase and we don't necessarily get an increase on the short interest substantially to match the shares outstanding, the short interest percentage in theory will decrease. So that's worth noting. But I do like the sideways action that we're getting back onto the VWAP. I could see a push to 120. Breaking back above 120 will be key, because I think the 120 is the major resistance that we're kind of watching here. But I do like the OBV movement we're getting down here. We are kind of flatlining. If we can get a push on the OBV to get the buying pressure back in, I definitely could see this running. Now, it's worth noting that most of the Reddit people do believe that we have 1,400% short interest. So there is a lot of hype behind the stock. So that is worth noting, that the hype is there, the momentum is there as well. So as we zoom in, I want to highlight key things that I am looking at. So as we look in, you see we did reclaim that VWAP right there. We're sitting back above it. So the momentum is definitely on the bullish side. Now, things that could hurt us coming into the week are the indexes could start to bleed again. If the indexes keep bleeding, CTRM probably takes a hit. But now if the indexes start upticking, there's a chance that shorts could get squeezed out here on a smaller time frame. Now, I think, like I said, I keep mentioning the possible squeezing of some shorts because there is a large amount, but it's not to the amount of seeing a $5-6 push. I could definitely see a $1.80, a $1.70 push to this range up here. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about this next level, 4 times on our investment. That's not what I'm looking at. That was never really the play. So I do like the price action that we're getting. I want to see a push back and then overall push that 120, 125 range. Gaining and maintaining above this line will be very, very important. I'm a price action trader, so I'm consistently looking to be breaking these key price action points. So that's what I'm gonna be watching going into the week, and that's what we want to see. If we can reclaim, like I keep mentioning, reclaiming this 120, 125 range, I do think there's a possibility we get another push up to that 170, 180 marker. And that's overall where I'd be targeting in the short term. Now, if we start parabolically moving, I'll have to reevaluate it and kind of consider holding out longer to get more profits. But if we just trend upwards, get some slow, nice movement to that upward movement, that's where I'd be looking to take profits. But that's just me personally. All right, guys, so that's gonna wrap up my thoughts on CTRM, Castor, and Maritime. This is not financial advice, so do your own due diligence. But I do like what's going on. I still hold my positions. I just wanted to clarify the 1,400% short interest. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on there. And as far as the overall numbers being released, we kind of can't trust too much of what's going on because now hedge funds know that the retail investor is paying attention to the short interest and the heavily short interested stocks. But I think that the CTRM 1,400% was fake news. That wasn't really true at all. The shares outstanding are going through the roof. That is factual. They have a lot of warrants that are expiring and that they are actually exercising so they can be increased. So that's increasing the overall shares outstanding. And those aren't just going anywhere anytime soon. And it looks like they're gonna have more offerings coming out. So that was something very important that we needed to cover. But overall, I do like CTRM. I do see the potential upside. We need to get back above 120, 125. And from there, we could see a massive run. But that's gonna wrap it up for this video, guys. If you got something out of this, hit that sub button down below, leave a thumbs up, and have the notifications turned on because we post videos every single day. Have a good one, boys. Namaste.